Medford Infraction. This is one of the fateful 10 knives sold at the New York Custom Knife Show. This is actually the first knife sold since the guy I bought it from cornered Greg in a restaurant before the show. He needed funds to do another project that he's doing with Greg, so I bought it off him thinking, well, you know, just trying to help out. If I don't want it, I can sell it probably pretty easily. Since then, I've used it extensively. I've had it for over a month. I truly believe that I have a pretty good perspective and take on what it can handle because, you know, there's nothing like letting a group of Marines that didn't pay for an item test out your gear. So that is the case on this one. It's been passed around quite a bit. Been carried by a lot of guys who know what they're doing and use a lot of knives extensively. You know, a couple of times I've had to play my favorite game in the Corps, which is where the F is my knife game. And the last couple of times I found it with, you know, Marines that were cutting open an aluminum can to use as a dip cup or what have you. So it has been used. It's you know, it's been dropped. It's been used. It's been everything. 8-inch knife. Very well balanced. 4-inch blade. D2 steel. Carbon fiber scale one side. Titanium on the other. 3/16. Pretty thick. Closed, it's 4 3/8. Okay. They put a smaller clip on it. I've heard a lot of guys give them flack about the Medford clips. They don't like them. I like it. It doesn't snag on anything. It holds the knife in pretty well. It's at a pretty nice depth in the pocket when you carry it. It's got the 2 screws here, so it holds on pretty well. Doesn't slip around. You know, I've seen guys who talk about how it rips up their pants, and you guys need to hydrate and do some push-ups and get some tougher pants, because I really haven't had the problem. I will tell you, most of the pants I wear are, you know, BDUs or camis, and most of the time now they have extra material. So I haven't run into it. You know, not too hard to push down on there. I hear that too, like, oh man, you know, you can't get it on your pocket. Well, you know, again, do some tricep extensions or something. I don't know, push a little harder. Compared to other knives that I carry, I'm not a collector. I had one guy give me a whole ration of shit because he said, well, if that's the first knife ever sold, I mean, you know, you should have that in a safe somewhere, you know, or like, I don't know, I guess I'm supposed to encase it in lucite or something. Hey, here's the deal, guys. You know, I pay a lot for these because I believe they're worth it, and I believe they're very usable pieces of equipment. Also, the paperwork that came with it, I kind of expected it would say, you know, blade number 1 or, you know, 1 of 10 or whatever. It doesn't have any of that. I have the manufacturer's date, so that kind of proves it right there. But nothing really that stands out. You know, I didn't get it with a big, you know, Willy Wonka gold ticket in the package or anything like that. So there's really nothing pointing to the fact that it's the first knife. So you know what? I'll use it. I'm a Medford fan now. I wasn't. The first time I saw a Praetorian, I looked at it and went, what the hell would you do with that? I played with it quite a bit. I used it, and I bought one. And I do not regret it at all. I love this knife. I use this knife a lot. You know, same thing I use this one for. I've cut a lot of paracord, cut a lot of nylon straps, scraped things, you know, what have you. Use the point on this one a little more than of course I use on the Praetorian. Guys look at the Praetorian and go, well, what would you cut with that? What is that blade useful for? Well, here you go. Here's something, you know, maybe a little more your speed. I don't care who says what about the Praetorian. I really don't want to live in the world without the Praetorian. I like it quite a bit. I don't care if it's ridiculous, scary, what have you. I like the knife a lot. So, next to a Praetorian, as you can see, here is another Medford knife, a 187. If you guys are on the fence and go, oh, I don't want to pay that much money for a knife, go out and get yourself a 187. It's a beautiful knife. It's been through a lot as well. These knives still look new, you notice. I didn't wipe these down. I didn't clean them before we did this. I usually, will put some CLP, I'll oil them up, I'll wipe them down, once every couple of weeks or so, just to keep them running. Medford knives are very stiff when you pull them out. It's just the way they are. Just keep working with them, man. I think that was another drawback is someone said to me the other day, if you open them up, you void the warranty. Well, then don't open it up. I get it if you're a collector. I get it if you're a skilled craftsman or you're another custom knife maker. Look, you're probably not going to damage the knife if you open it up. Okay. I believe outside of that, you're just being curious and, knock it off. It's a custom knife. There's still a custom knife. I'm sure you're going to see some kind of strange variations in there, just to kind of bulk at the knife. I've heard people say, oh, I have one washer on one side, two on the other, and there's a spacer in there. And okay. I've never needed to open up a Medford knife, ever. Yes, I've opened up other knives. I carry a Boker Pipsqueak a lot as my garrison knife. I've had to open this knife extensively because anyone who owns one of these knows that they tend to back out their pivot screw after a couple hundred openings. Even if you're really easy on it, it's just what it does. So I've opened this knife and put Loctite in it and Teflon and everything else. So it's not like, there's no reason. This, hasn't been used anywhere near as extensively as these, and as you can see, that my card is chipped and some other trash, but it's a great little thing. But that's a different review. Compared to other knives, sizes that you may own or have access to, paramilitary. Another knife I carry quite a bit, mainly because I'm around salt water often. So, there it is next to that. Pretty comparable. So again, those of you who say that the Medford blades, the D2 and the thickness and everything is just pretty ridiculous. This might be a good knife for you. The Infraction might be a really good way to go if you're on the fence. Something that's used extensively around here, a lot of us have them, the Benchmade Diamond Optimus. Beautiful knife, just a solid tool. I mean, just solid as it gets, tough as nails. I think you guys can see the videos of the Russian, blocking it into center block and cutting up cable and jamming it into steel and aluminum and all that good stuff. I love those videos as well. This one's been used pretty extensively, still looks pretty new. Only problem is I can't stand carrying this knife. It is horrible to carry. The width isn't even that much more. It's like carrying a fixed blade in your pocket. I can't stand it. This is a great knife to put in its sheath and go on your gear. I put it on my pack, and it's a great, oh shit knife. Just to show you in comparison, this Praetorian has been carried more, and I'd say this has been used about as much as this Delica 4. And as you can see, the Delica 4 is just beat to hell. It's just beat, man. It's beat. It's chipped up. And this knife really hasn't been abused. I mean, some of you beg to differ, but it just hasn't. It's been used, as I said, as much as the Praetorian, and you can see the difference. I mean, these things really are very, very sturdy. As far as negatives on the knife, the only negative I've had, honestly, I thought there would be more, especially with kind of a first run. This little cutout area right there, you can see it. It looks pretty cool. It matches the other side. It's nifty looking. The problem is the first day I had it, you can see, I mean, the tip is really right there, And the first day I had it, reached down in the pocket and stabbed my finger pretty good. I lent it to somebody else the next night, was telling them what I did, and he kept doing this action. Oh yeah, I can feel it. Oh yeah, I can feel it. Slit his finger open. Then we had to de-hazmat my knife. Lent it to another guy a couple days later, and he had it in his pocket, went to pull it out, and it caught and it shredded his cami pants pretty good. Since then, I put a pull on it. I put a pull on almost all my knives, just because I wear gloves most of the time when I'm using my knives, and they're usually under a couple of layers. Other than that, I mean, it has the flipper on it. You can open it like that. The blood groove and the little channel area there opens it rather well. As I said, stiff when I first got it, as almost all Medfords are. You can be a knife nerd and play with it, a couple hundred to 1,000 times, and it will loosen up. Or you can put a little graphite in there, and that will loosen things up. That detent ball gets a little worked out a bit. So other than that, well worth it, well worth the money. I don't think you guys will be disappointed, those of you who want to order one up. Anyway, that's it. I don't really look at the comments all that often, but if you got any questions, shoot me a question. I'll try to answer it for you. Again, this has been used extensively, and you can see it still looks new.